Hello, I'm Tony, and welcome to the Tony Shap Show. One. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. This week, I have Mike with us. I'm super pumped and excited to have him here with us. I can't wait for him to share with you who he is, what he's all about, and what he's doing today, and how he got started, and then where he's going. So, Mike, take a second to say hello to the audience.
Hello, audience. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks. Big warm welcome on behalf of me and also people listening, or if they're watching us on YouTube. But I'm super excited to have you, like I was just saying. So let's start off with the one word open. What's the one word you could use to describe how you're feeling in this exact moment before we dive in?
Feeling in this exact moment. Hopeful.
Hopeful. Perfect. Got the new year, right? We're ready to go. And
yeah, we've had some strange stuff this week, but let's stay hopeful.
Yes, I like it. Perfect. So let's talk about your business. Let's talk about your business, what it's all about, how you got started, your background, and how you came up with it, and where you are now, and what you do for people, how you help people, and and it's a loaded, big question. So go as deep as you like, so people could get a chance to learn more about you. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I'll try and keep it interesting. Yeah. So in 1998, I decided to launch a newspaper. That's how I got into business. It's called the Massachusetts Investors Digest. I introduced a business publication from Massachusetts covering a range of topics. I had no experience in publishing, no experience writing, no experience selling ads, but I had a concept. So stupidly, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I got into business. I really didn't have that much experience in what I was getting involved in. But I launched a thing. 6 months afterwards, I thought I was going to be out of business. I stayed in business. I found some ways to keep it going. I found some different areas of expertise or some topics that I thought worked. And when the dot-com, crash came, that kind of tanked the business a little bit. And then 9/11 came. When 9/11 came, I said, I got to get out of the newspaper business. I can't drop newspapers off. They were closing down the skyscrapers. They were putting security in the buildings where we were dropping off the newspaper. So I got to get out of this. And when I talked to people about the newspaper, I said, what did you like about the newspaper the best? If they read it, what was the column that you liked? They said, we love your venture capital roundup. We love your summary of all the firms that have raised venture capital. Oh, really? So I decided to create a venture capital database. I started with Massachusetts. We maybe had 150, 200 firms for the first publication. It's actually a book. I sent along a floppy disk that had a spreadsheet. But I'll tell you what, even though that sounds, kind of old and old-fashioned, when I told people that I had a spreadsheet on that disk with the email addresses of every venture capital firm in Massachusetts, they wanted to give me a credit card right there. So I say, I think I'm onto something. So we did Massachusetts, we did Texas, Silicon Valley. We just kept adding. We built a national database. So now we have a database of 5,000 VCs, PEs, angels, accelerators, family offices, everybody in the private capital space. Now it's online, searchable, filters, exports, all that kind of stuff. So, it's really geared for people who are looking to raise capital, people who want to contact VCs and PEs for whatever reason. That could be a law firm, an executive recruiter, that was 1998 to the present.
That's really awesome. That's quite a story. When you were just sharing with me about 9/11 and 2008 and all that stuff, I was reflecting back in those times too, especially with the dot-com boom, then the 9/11. And then, oh my God. And then here we are, like last year and this year. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Scary times. But as we, people are talking about how the democracy perseveres. Look how American business perseveres, right?
Yes.
You thought were we all going to be done in 2009 and 2000? No, we kept on going. Things look scary March of last year, and somehow we find ways to adapt.
Yes.
Adaptation, right? Adaptation.
Totally. And do you remember in 1999 Y2K?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? The
Sure.
whole thing with the computers going down and stuff like that. And then,
everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some wins. If you could share with us, if you could pick one win that's dear and near your heart in business context that you could share with the audience that you're proud of? And then, just share us, share with us what that win is and what you learned from it. That would be great, Mike.
Well, I won't give you one that's like super, extraordinary. This is more, let's say a small business win. Um, I'm always introducing new products. I'd had a couple of things that didn't go so well, or something that maybe was mediocre, but I decided to introduce a family office database. So family offices, in case someone's listening that they don't know what they are, you've got venture capitalists, you've got private equity firms. There are also very rich families or a very rich person. Maybe they've had a liquidity event, and they now have a lot of capital. They're looking to diversify their interests. So maybe they owned an automobile dealership and sold it. Maybe they owned a medical records firm and sold it. Whatever industry they were in, they've got liquidity. They've got hundreds of millions of dollars typically, and they decide to start sprinkling this around. They might invest in VC funds, hedge funds. They might do direct investments. They might buy some real estate. They often do a lot of these things. They like to diversify their assets. So I was like, why don't I already had some of them in the database, but I wanted to really broaden that and make a distinct product so you could just buy a family office database if that's what you're interested in. And that ended up just being a super win, man. I was just like, I emailed people that we've got a family office database. It was like, wow, I was telling them exactly what they wanted to hear. The credit cards came rolling in, just like what I described before in 2002. That's when you got to hit, when it's like immediate. A business comes immediately, and there's a very strong reaction.
That's really awesome. Let's talk about the flip side of that. What's been one that was not a win, and what did you
Well,
learn from it?
look, yeah, I mean, it's a fun one to just go back to 1998. Here I was, I launched this newspaper, the Massachusetts Investors Digest. And like every entrepreneur, you think the world is that you think that everybody's gonna love what you got, that it's just gonna be so profound, and they can't wait to see it. No, I put the paper out on the street, 20,000 copies all over Boston and what we call the Route 128 area surrounding Boston. And, you know, and, the reaction wasn't that great. People, I heard a little bit here and there, but not that much. It took a few months before anybody called about an advertisement. And it was pretty slow. And it took me a while to figure out how to make it more attractive to people, how to make it more attractive to advertisers. But it never really hit on. It took me months to realize I was in the wrong business.
Gotcha. So it was not the best thing since sliced bread that you
I,
thought.
I was able to keep it going. I was able to learn a lot. I was able to learn a heck of a lot about business. And I was able to learn about what was going to be the area that could make me successful. And that was
Interesting.
publishing data on venture capital. So a lot of businesses find that, right? You find that you've got to pivot, right? You've got to pivot. The first thing that you do, the first iteration is not that great. The second iteration isn't that great. So you've got to pivot and try something else. So I was creating content, and then I realized that selling venture capital content was going to be a much better business, a way easier business too, more profitable than pushing a newspaper all over the place and trying to sell advertising.
Got it. So you have a lot of business experience, and you've watched a lot of other successful people like yourself in business. And what do you think, if you had to give, if you could give one advice to a founder listening to this, what's that one tip you could give them that you feel that's really powerful, and that's the only tip they would need, like in terms of being successful in their startup?
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't want to be glib, right? Because you hear the same things all the time. But but you'd have to say that one thing that you do hear, and I think it is profound: perseverance, but pivot. Don't bang your head against the wall. Don't say, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to take every credit card I've got. I'm going to drain my savings account. Before you go that far, see if you need to pivot. See if there's something else that you can do. See if you're on the right track with your idea, but you might need to do it a little bit differently. So, entrepreneurs go in saying, it's going to be the greatest thing. Nothing's going to stop me. And they drain their accounts, right? They max out credit cards. That may not be the best thing for you. You might need to think about, is there a way to pivot into something better?
Got it. Thank you. Let's talk about business expenses. Right now, what would you say is your top business expense?
I'd say right now it's marketing. It used to be database development. It used to be technology. I was, paying, folks to build the database and add on different things and do different things. I feel that we got that mostly built out. Sometimes we, amend something. Right now it's marketing. Email marketing, landing pages, um, those things.
And would you say credit card processing is in the top five?
Credit card processing, no, I wouldn't. I think that we've got that pretty pretty much under control. But with credit card processing, the money comes off the top,
It's
right?
true.
That's why I
True.
invested in Square. That's why I own Visa as a personal, stock investor. When you see the toll they take off the top, that 3%, 4%. If you're with the wrong bank or processor, they'll take 5%, right? So you've got to be very, very careful about that. Very careful, who you're using for your shopping cart, you know, you got to be very, very careful. But I do think with processing now, we've got a provider, we've got it at a good figure.
Awesome. Let's talk about how you acquire new clients. I know you said that's one of your top expenses is your top expense. One of your top expenses is
Yeah.
marketing. So that's on near, on top of your radar for you. So what channel are you using to acquire new clients?
Yeah. So Tony, I've tried so many different things over the years, and I can say without a doubt, the most successful thing, I wouldn't even be in business if it wasn't for email marketing. Email marketing is extremely successful for my business. We're able to reach people that we need to reach, and we get business from them. We send an email out, we get business back. In fact, I think the record was 3 minutes. I sent an email out. The new venture capital database is available. Credit card comes back 3 minutes later.
Nice.
You can't ask for more than that.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a reverse question. So, what's one question that I should be asking you, Mike, that I haven't yet?
I was supposed to be prepared for this one, right? I wasn't prepared. A question that you should ask me. What's the hardest thing about business? What's keeping me up at night?
Good
Um,
one. Yeah.
yeah, I used to stay up. I used to get a lot of sleepless nights. Uh, Today, I think I worry about technology obsolescence in terms of my site looking less, not looking as good as the competitors. The competitors getting more data than I can get my hands on, right? So that's what I'm up against. You worry about somebody doing everything that you've got for free, right? Who doesn't like to attack a market by say, well, we're going to do everything for free? I think we already went through that phase, and now some of those competitors are now charging. So I don't think that I have to worry about that so much, but that's certainly something that you always have to worry about.
Understood. I know. I think we've all heard the story about Amazon not having the prettiest website, right? But it's the highest converting website. That's all they care about, and they do a lot of split testing and all that good stuff. So as long as your website's converting, you know, it's working. And I know it's good that it's on top of mind, and sometimes it might keep you up at night, or people listening to this, it might keep them up at night because you can always do better. You can always improve. I
Sure.
mean, look at our phones, right? You've got iPhone 12 out now, and pretty soon it'll be the next one, and so forth, and all that good stuff.
Uh,
So perfect. As we're coming to a close here, tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you. If you want to let us know of your website address and how they could contact you to find out more information, and also just recap on who you typically help.
Sure. So we've got a website, massinvestor.com. So Massinvestor is the company. We publish venture capital, private equity database. Um, and we typically help, three different folks: entrepreneurs who are looking to raise capital. They use the database. Now, there are different places that they can go, but we do have plenty of entrepreneurs who are looking to raise capital, especially if they've already done angel groups. They've already done some different things. They're like, I need something more serious. They use the product. We have a lot of VCs and PEs who buy the product. They might be looking to raise money from family offices.
Mm.
right? So we have the professionals that we're profiling, they buy the database as well. And then lastly is this great myriad of professionals in the ecosystem of capital and technology and entrepreneurship. So you've got law firms. Every time that there's a venture capital deal, there's a lawyer for the VC and a lawyer for the entrepreneur. Every time someone's gotten some venture capital, somebody wants to sell them a 401k. Someone wants to sell them office space. They've got executives to hire, right? So there are a lot of professionals who want to know what's happening in VC and private equity, and because capital's moving, and whenever there's an influx of capital, there are actions that need to be taken.
Well said. And what's your one word close as we're wrapping it up? What's the one word you could use to sign off with?
The one word. I'll go to perseverance. Perseverance. Keep on fighting. And with that pivoting and perseverance, Tony, it never stops, right? Just because you had 3 good years doesn't mean you might need to pivot again and pivot again. Maybe every 3 years or 5 years, you got to keep going, and you may need to pivot. So you've got to always be thinking, staying sharp, and thinking about how you can improve your business, and be ready to pivot if you need to. If you need to adapt, if you need to change, do it.
Those are some really powerful tips. Mike, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I know I got a lot of value out of this, and the listeners listening to this, whether it's this year, next year, or 2050, they're listening to this, they're gonna get some value out of this as well. So thank you very much for coming on to the show, and I can't wait to have you back on here sometime soon.
That'll be great, Tony. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and great to have you, and thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. Till next time, onwards and upwards.